Have you ever found yourself standing at the edge of a dark forest, staring at a cabin you know you should never enter? Kind of place that calls to you, even though you can feel something's horribly wrong? Well, let me tell you about the cabin in the woods that no one ever talks about. The cabin where strange things happen. The one that no one returns from. I dare you to listen closely, because what happened there will make you question everything you thought you knew about fear. It started like any other weekend getaway. A chance to get out of the city and into the quiet of the woods. A break from the noise and chaos of life. But from the moment I saw that cabin, I knew something wasn't right. I don't know what drew me to it. Maybe it was the way the fog clung to the trees, or how the cabin seemed to be waiting, hidden just out of view. Whatever it was, I couldn't resist. The air felt heavy, thick with something I couldn't name, but I pushed it aside, thinking it was just the wilderness. It wasn't until I stepped onto the porch that I felt it. A cold chill that crept up my spine, a sensation I couldn't shake. I looked around. The forest was completely still. No wind, no birds, no rustling leaves, just silence. I reached for the door handle and turned it. The door creaked open, its sound echoing in the stillness. It was like the cabin was welcoming me, or maybe trapping me. The inside was dimly lit, the windows covered with thick, dusty curtains that blocked out most of the light. The air smelled stale, like something hadn't been opened in years. It was quiet, too quiet, except for the faint sound of something breathing. I stepped inside, my footsteps heavy on the creaky floorboards. The first thing I noticed was the fireplace. It was cold, but there was something strange about it. The ashes were still warm. I walked further into the cabin, feeling the strange sensation of being watched. Every corner seemed to hide something, and the deeper I went, the darker it became. There were old chairs that looked like they hadn't been touched in ages, a dining table that was half covered in dust, and shelves filled with old books that looked as if they hadn't been moved for decades. But it wasn't the objects that caught my attention. It was the walls. They seemed to be closing in, shrinking the room around me. The air became thicker, harder to breathe, and I suddenly had the urge to leave. But I couldn't. Something held me there, some invisible force, pulling me deeper into the heart of the cabin. I forced myself to look around, trying to find a way to shake the uneasy feeling creeping up my spine. And then I saw it. A door. Not just any door, though. This one was at the far end of the cabin, tucked behind a large, faded tapestry. It was small, old, and looked like it hadn't been opened in years. I shouldn't have gone through it, but I did. The moment I opened that door, everything changed. The room was freezing cold, despite the fact that the rest of the cabin felt stuffy and warm. The walls were covered in cracks, and the floor was littered with old newspapers. But there was something else, something moving. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but then I heard it. A soft, shuffling sound, like something dragging itself across the floor. Slowly, the sound grew louder, closer. I froze. From the darkness, a figure emerged. It wasn't human. It couldn't have been. Its shape was twisted, like a shadow made of smoke, a silhouette without features. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, as if it was being pulled by strings. The sound of its dragging feet echoed in the silent room. I wanted to run, to get out of there, but my legs wouldn't move. I was paralyzed by fear. The figure crept closer, and I could feel the coldness radiating off it. The air around it felt wrong. It felt like death. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears as it drew closer. The shuffling sound getting louder and louder until it was right behind me. And then, nothing. The figure disappeared, just like that. I stood there, trembling, not daring to move, waiting for something, anything to happen. But the room was still, eerily quiet once again. I turned to leave, but the door slammed shut in front of me. The sound of the heavy wood slamming against the frame was deafening, and I could feel my heart drop into my stomach. I tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in. I had to get out of there. I backed away from the door, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps. My eyes darted around the room, looking for another way out. But all I saw were the shadows twisting and shifting in the corners. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold. The fireplace, the one that had been cold when I first entered. It was now burning brightly, flames flickering and dancing in the hearth. But there was something wrong with it. The flames weren't orange and yellow like they should have been. No, they were blue. Cold, unnatural blue. the fire, unable to look away. The flames seemed to reach out toward me as if they were alive, beckoning me to come closer. And then I heard the voice. It was faint at first, like a whisper carried by the wind, but it grew louder, clearer. Come closer. I couldn't move. My body was frozen in place, my mind screaming at me to run, to escape, but my feet were glued to the floor. The voice called to me again, louder this time. Come closer. I had to break free. With everything I had, I forced myself to look away from the fire. My eyes darted to the other side of the room, and that's when I saw it. The door was open. I didn't hesitate. I ran. I didn't know what was waiting for me on the other side, but I couldn't stay in that cabin any longer. The floor creaked under my weight as I sprinted through the hall, my breath ragged in my chest. I heard the door slam shut behind me, the sound echoing through the empty cabin. I didn't stop running until I was outside. The air was thick and heavy, just like it had been when I first arrived, but there was no turning back now. I had to get away. I looked over my shoulder once, just to see the cabin behind me. It stood there, as still and silent as it had when I first saw it. But this time, I saw something new. The windows were no longer dark. They were glowing, a faint, sickly light flickering from inside. The figure was back, and it was watching me. I didn't stay to find out what else that cabin had to offer. I ran until my legs gave out and my lungs burned. I didn't look back again. When I finally reached the main road, I didn't stop. I didn't even turn around. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me, that something in that cabin was still watching, still waiting. And to this day, I can't forget the look of the blue flames, the voice calling me to come closer, the figure that wasn't human, dragging itself toward me. I never went back to that cabin, and I never will. But sometimes in the dead of night, when the wind howls through the trees, and the shadows seem to move on their own, I swear I hear it again. The sound of dragging feet, and the voice calling me back. This is the story of a haunted cabin in the woods. Some places are meant to be left alone. Some doors should never be opened, because once you step inside, you may never leave.